Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tuesday nights. It's the UkSimracers MX5 Season 2 of 2024, Round 6, live from Motorsport. I'm James Parfitt, going to be joined in the booth by Mr. Tom Cairns this evening. Once more, who's going to be joining me for 4 races of epic action. Top 10 reverse for race 2, complete random reverse for race 3, and then we will bring you up and let you know race 4s when we get there. So what are the scores on the doors at the moment? Well, in the pros, currently it is Dan Hunt out in front on 730 points, with Pete Van Gaal in second on 602. Jamie Wilson in third on 591, with Jamie Ayres on 576, and you've got Steve Hefford on 564, followed by the top 6 rounding out by Ralph Cullinan on 495. Then you've got Tom Griffiths, Pete Newman, Martin Sampson, Dries Neese, Dan Dennison and Ewan Bramer, John Sylvester and Miles Owens yet to score points. In the AMs, it is Ollie Ricks out in front on 584, with Roger Morton in second on 552. Then you've got Charles Kellerman on 462, Darryl Wright on 445, with Darren McLean on 407, and Fiona Siddons rounded out the top 6 on 370. Then you've got Colin Sanson, Andy Littler, Alan Toon, Steve Hansford, Mick Barry, and then you've got Arnold Chonier, Callum McPherson and Craig Jones, who has not scored any points. What has that done for the overall here? Dan Hunt out in front on 2247, with PVG in second on 1959, Jamie Ayres in third on 1929, Jamie Wilson in fourth with 1788, and then Pete Newman on 1730. Then the top 6 rounded out by Ralph Cullinan on 1693. Steve Everett, Charles Kellerman, Colin Sanson, Darryl Wright, Martin Sampson, Fiona Siddons, Andy Littler, Miles Owens, Alan Toon, Darren McLean, Steve Hansford and Ollie Ricks rounding out the top 18. And then on from that one, you've got Roger Morton, John Sylvester, Mick Barry, Ewan Bramer and Callum McPherson. In the overall team standings, this is both seasons put together, Momo out in front on 5744, with Results Clothing on 3928, then Optical Green on 3506, Work Up Our Result on 3332, and then DOF Reality on 2382, Team Chimera 1951, Safeguard by Result Year 1, Pure Sims Result, Swim Race Sweden and Aero Kinetics round out the bottom. As you can see, we are just coming towards the end of practice before we enter into qualifying, and it's raining already, says Mr. Phil in YouTube chat. Yes sir, it is. The rain is coming down for round 1 and 2. Let's have a chat with Mr. Cairns here. Tom, welcome in buddy, how are you?
Thank you very much, James. Hello to everyone that's tuning in and of course competing this particular round at the Motorsport Park circuit in Canada. Last hosted a Formula 1 race back in 1977. It's 3.9 kilometers long. It goes in a clockwise direction as well. It's a very fast and smooth circuit. Obviously, some of the corners named after particular names like Mario Andretti and Sir Sterling Moss. And as you rightly pointed out, James, it's the end of the practice session and we've got qualifying coming up. 15 minutes it will be to determine the grid for race number 1. Then we've got the top 10 reverse for race 2, randomised grid for race 3, and race 4 is to be confirmed as the evening presses on. So the qualifying has begun. It is in wet conditions, which is very unlike what we've seen in the previous rounds. So this is going to make for a very interesting session. If the rain stops, or the intensity of it reduces, then that's going to make for a very interesting end to Phillip and see who will get to the top of the grid for race number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the important thing as well, to be out in front. You want to make sure you're on the front row if you can, because you don't want that spray in your face at all if you can help it. You know, you want to make sure that you don't get it. And unfortunately, obviously, some of these guys who are aware that they will get it are likely to get hit. This is the problem. And with it coming down as well, it doesn't leave a lot. We'll have a look on board with Steve Hefford as he chases down Jamie Ayres here. And we can have a look and see that the spray is coming right in their faces as well, and there's not a lot of vision as he goes up the Mario Andretti straight here, topping up probably north of about 150 miles an hour if he can just about get there, but they are going uphill as well, so you're probably looking more around about the 120 mark if we're lucky. But you can just see how bad it is, Tom, and it's just rain on a race circuit, spray in your face, and you can't really see a whole lot.
Yeah, especially if you're going down a very long straight and coming towards a fast sweeping right-hander of turn number 9 as I'm passing it, and then turn 10 of the penultimate turn, and then turn 11 the right-hander before the pit straight. It has the vibes of Thruxton and Assen, doesn't it, James? The particular last section of the course before the pit straight. That's going to make for a very interesting battle for the race. When we saw it in Phillip Island last week, we had a drag race to the line between the top 4 drivers in Pro, less than a tenth separating them all. And yeah, I think they'll be looking to go for it, but of course with being wet conditions potentially for one of the races this evening, anything can happen.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well with rain, is a different kind of setup altogether. Good evening, Colin Sansom. How are you? Are you out on the racetrack? You are. So Colin is out on the race circuit as well. But I think, you know, with the way that these guys are racing, I think this long straightaway, oh, Dan Hunt cannot do that. You cannot go off that side of the circuit and expect to survive coming out the other side. And he did not survive that. He's going down into turn 2. And turn 2 is always going to be a problem. You're going, especially if you're on the outside as well. And if you're on the outside going around turn 2, it's not going to take a lot for you to wash out.
No, and you don't want to get offline through this, particularly through a left sweeping corner there of Clayton. The last thing you want to be is getting on the marbles, and then just as soon as you go wide like that, it's almost like a drag strip. It really lures you into the grass section of the course as we watch what looks like that's not Jamie Ayres.
No, Ralph Cullingham.
Ralph Cullingham, isn't it? Yeah. He's coming through over the line for his first time of the session, if it is going to be any time. Jamie Ayres has posted a time. We don't know for certain if these are going to be the fastest times given the wet conditions. Normally in the dry, the first lap times tend to be the best times we see from the drivers before they start falling away. And that looked like Jamie Ayres getting out of shape there before Steve Hefford just went through past him.
Yeah, Jamie Ayres getting all a little bit wonky donkey there as well, unfortunately for him. So he's going to have to be a little bit careful, but that's the joys of what's going to be the rain here. And I think overall it's going to be a general theme of the evening. I think this is the one thing that we are going to have to keep an eye out for as well. And you know, these guys going to be getting loose, and the rain's just going to cause a problem. And that's the whole situation, isn't it? Rain is, as you say, one of the greatest equalizers. It's one of the things that can cause the most amount of problems. And if anybody has raced in the rain yet, well, you'll find out for yourself if you have not. Jamie Wilson out on the circuit at the moment. Dan Hunt, no time on the borders in the pits. He crashed the car, and that's it for him. Pete Newman still in the pit lane as well, but Mr. Wilson himself can go from Team Chimera out on track at the moment, running up the Mario Andretti. 10 minutes to go as well. Jamie's had quite a good season so far, and I'm hoping for his sake here, Tom, that he's able to carry it on. You know, he's sitting currently 5th in the overalls in the summer season. He's sitting in 3rd as well. He's just got to get his head down and get a little bit more wins, hasn't he? We haven't really seen him at the top of the standings.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a relatively good season. He's had a lot of unlucky moments as well as Jamie Ayres. We saw it at the Red Bull Ring a couple of weeks back, and he was able to make that up for picking up a race win last week in Phillip Island. But yes, like you say, he wants to and relatively strong as the races are coming in thick and fast. We've got a lot of brilliant circuits to look forward to. We've got Brands Hatch, we've got Spa, we've got Road Atlanta, we've also got Mugello, Oschersleben, and the last race being in Daytona. So a lot of brilliant circuits to go to with the season or the summer campaign coming towards its climax. Roger Morton posted a lap time there, enough to go 8th fastest in 5th in class. Colin Sanson is the fastest out of all those in AM. We've only got 3 drivers posting lap times from the pro category, with Steve Hefford the fastest of them all.
Yeah, Steve's flying at the moment, sitting on pole on a 1:41.547. Ayres is next with Ralph Cullinan. Colin Sansom leading the AMs here and is doing a great job in the processes. Colin had a very good season so far, sitting in the top of the championship in 7th at the moment. He's chasing down Ollie Ricks for this season. Overall, where is Colin? Colin's 2nd overall in the overall season. It's just obviously the summer season, sitting down in 7th as well. Another man that can be consistent and can be quick on his day. It'll be interesting to see how he gets on. He's obviously confident here as well. You know, there wasn't many people that took more than one win last week out of Phillip Island. Jamie Ayres was the only man to do it. Believe it or not, there was 4 different winners last week, Tom, and that's the thing as well. It was a very mixed results for the AMs. You know, we've had Ricks on Kellerman, Ricks and Morton in the first race. Then we had Wright and Littler a second race. Morton, Wright, Kellerman, Ricks, Kellerman, McLean. You know, it was all very mixed in the AMs last week. So I expect a nice little tidy battle from them this week.
Yeah, we've got more in the AM than we do in the pro. And yes, you're right, that we are seeing a mixture of different racemen, because at the beginning of the season it looks like Ollie Ricks was running away with it, but it seems that the likes of Charles Kellerman, Darryl Wright and Roger Morton are all catching up to him, and there's a lot of rounds still to come. We've just seen there, who's that nearly dropped it? That'll be Colin Sanson. Yeah, it was Sanson that nearly dropped it. That's the thing with that curb there. We've seen drivers nearly dropping it as they're coming out of there in the wet conditions. That's what they want to be avoiding.
Yes, Fiona Siddons is facing the wrong way. I'm wondering if that's coming out of turn 2, looking just about, yeah, that is coming out of turn 2, unfortunately, for Fiona Siddons, and around she goes. But the question will be, will it dry up? Will it not dry up? Well, I like a bit of rain. I'm hoping it doesn't dry up, Tom, and the first race is definitely soaking.
Yeah, I mean, my only argument to that is if the track does improve as the qualifying session closes up, then you know, it's going to make for an interesting. It could be last man over the line that determines the grid. But yes, it would be nice to have a wet first race if we do. We don't normally have a wet first race. It's either the 3rd or the 4th one that we see a wet race. We have seen at least one for each round so far in the summer campaign of the UK Simmers Championship with these Mazda MX5s. It is very easy to drop it when you are going through corners. We've seen it where drivers sometimes lose it and they just collect another car as they are spinning round. Hopefully we don't get too many incidents like that. And I think coming towards the end, the drivers seem to be getting around the circuit rather fine. There's not too many corners where they're having to navigate through, but I think the medium speed corners are where the time is going to be found. It's going to be won and lost. That's going to really make the difference between starting high up the grid and not.
Yeah, I think turn 2 is going to be a corner that people are going to have to try and make sure they get right. They've got to look at the bump on the inside if they can hold it and allow that speed to rotate around. It's very difficult in the rain itself. We've seen how slidey the cars can be, so we'll have to keep an eye and see how these get on. Ralph Cullinan has got green on the board in sectors 1. Let's see how he goes on here. 3 sectors here. Sector 1 leads on the way out of turn 3. Sector 2 is just on the end of the Moss on the Mario Andretti straightaway. And then obviously sector 3 is over the line. So let's see how these guys get on here, Tom. And hopefully for Ralph Cullinan, he might be able to move himself up.
Not seen too many greens at the moment. Ralph Cullinan's gone green in sectors 1 and 2, but that's I don't know if that's because he hasn't got the represented time on the body. He has done his in P3. 141.8. It's quite some way off the pace to where Steve Hefford is. In fact, Steve Hefford is over a second clear of Cullinan and 6 tenths clear of Jamie Ayres. Now, what about the other pros? Because I'm sure we've got some pro drivers who have yet to set lap times. Jamie Wilson's got a time on the board. We've only got 4 pros on the board so far. I don't know if we'll get any more before qualifying finishes.
Yeah, obviously Dan Up, we saw what happened to him. He had a crash and he's into the pits. He cannot request a new car, so therefore he will stay there. Pete Newman, not entirely sure if he's making it out, but he's currently sat in the pit lane as well. So we've got 4 pros as Steve Hefford goes round, locking up the brakes. Oh, Steve. That's going to be Steve's game over of his qualifying, and also Mr. Cullinan's there as well as he's gone round coming through turn 3, which is down at Quebec. So Ralph has gone round 3:52 on the clock here as well. JBS fastest in sectors 1. Let's see if he can get a decent time coming out of 2.
Yeah, well, he's coming out of the Moss section. He's a double right-hander before he comes to the Mario Andretti straightaway, and it's quite a long way up. I mean, when I was looking at the circuit layout, I thought the circuit would be quite wide and the barriers be a bit further away, but no, they are rather close, and if you get it wrong, the arm carrier is waiting for you. And I can perhaps see why the Formula 1 drivers back in the 70s found the circuit perhaps more tricky than first thought, but we are seeing Jamie Ayres coming through turn number 9, which is the S's is going through, and then it's White to complete his latest time. What is he doing with this one here? Is this an outlet that he's going over the line?
No, he's got purple on the board. He got faster in sector 1. He got green in sector 2. I think he might take pole. 1:41.175. Got a faster lap time, but didn't take that pole position away from Steve Hefford. Hefford's in the pits as well. That leaves Colin Sampson the opportunity in the rounds to move himself forward if he can get round about 3/10 off his lap at the moment. Is not going any quicker. Andy Litlow has got some green in sectors 2. Depends on how he handles turn 8. Coming through turn 9, the left-hander, and then through the final corner on the race circuit, turn 10, all whites, depending on what you want to call it. Around he goes now. He's got to run down to the line. Is Andy Littler going to improve on his time? He's going to get the opportunity for maybe one more lap here for Andy Littler. Over he goes. Is it going to be an improvement? It's not. 1:45.415 for him, and unfortunately no time this time around, so we'll have to keep an eye and see as Roger Morton is just about to hit the ball at a rapid rate of knots. Easily done round turn 1.
Yeah, it was always going to happen. That's what's going to catch the drivers out during the course of this evening if it remains wet. For those who've started the last times with the amount of time we've got left in the session now, which is coming up to 90 seconds, I doubt we're going to see any improvements from here on in unless someone pulls out an absolute stonker of a lap time. I mean, Andy Littler's gone green in sector 1. How is he going to get on in the second sector as he approaches Moss? Quite an undulating part of the circuit before he comes back down and then goes up again through the straightaway. And we'll see whether he is going green in sector 2. I don't think we are seeing any other drivers going greens at the moment, James. So this could be the last decent lap we see in the session. Once the clock reaches 0, the session essentially ends. So even if you're on a fast lap, you won't be able to complete it. And by the looks of it, he's just allowed Darren McLean alongside. And Andy Littler doesn't like he's going that quick. Well, it's certainly not now because he's gone round and he's going to hit that wall on the outside.
That man did not help that. And a lot of greatest respect in the world for Darren McLean, but overtaking Andy Littler, trying to go around the outside of turn 8. Littler was trying to get there. He was on a half-decent lap as well. He's caught the curb on the entry, and unfortunately his back end goes round. It was very tough for Darren McLean. He had a massive overspeed coming up the Andretti straightaway, and literally he did have nowhere to go. So for him, he literally was stuck there as well. He just had nowhere to go, and he unfortunately got a massive overspeed. He took the opportunity to go around Andy Littler, and unfortunately for Andy, he binned it. So let's have a look at the grid for the first race of this evening. And Steve Hefford is in first place with Jamie Ayres in second, with Ralph Cullinan in third, Colin Sanson fourth, Jamie Wilson fifth, Charles Kellerman in sixth, Darryl Wright in seventh, with Darren McLean, Fiona Siddons and Roger Morton rounding out the top 10. Then you got Mick Barry, Steve Hansford, Andy Littler, Dan Hunt, Pete Newman and Sir Alan Toon rounded out the top 16. So let's see how these guys get on and whether or not there's going to be some epic action, which I'm sure there will be, as we're just waiting for the lights to come on. We'll get this race up and running and see how it goes on here. We're just waiting for Charles Kellerman to go and Roger Morton, and whether or not Pete Newman is gonna make it here as well. So let's see what happens once again. Just waiting for Roger and Pete to get on to the grid. You see Steve Hefford sat on pole position there, looking menacing as ever in his Momo red and yellow. And let's see what he could do. Just waiting for Pete Newman. I'm not sure Pete's gonna make it here. I'm wondering, hopefully he's okay. And he doesn't have any issues. He made practice, but it might be the same scenario as last time. He might be out for dinner and not going to make it for the race as we're coming into the last. He's got about 30 seconds here, Tom. Oh, he's not going to. Oh, he has made it. So Pete Newman is out on the grid, ready to go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And ladies and gentlemen, lights out and away we go. And I can tell you one thing, Steve Hefford did not go anywhere off that line. If he's gone anywhere, the only place he's gone is backwards. He has gone down the order. Jamie Ayres is going to lead the way with Ralph Cullinan and Colin Sanson. Hefford's got the inside line over Jamie Wilson as well. But it's the first one round turn 2 where Ayres goes through, drops through. Is anybody on the outside line? They're going to struggle. Mick Barry's on the outside. He's got to try and make sure that he gets left the room from Roger Morton to get that car rotated down. He's on the grass. That's exactly what was fearful of happening. Barry keeps his foot in. He's going to come hurtling into turn 3. Is he going to be able to get it stopped? He does. But it's Jamie Ayres on the first run down into Moss, leading the way there. And Steve Hefford, Tom, did not go anywhere.
No, it almost looked like he almost jumped the start there, did Steve Hefford, and he had to just wait a little bit longer. And by the time he begun to wait again, the lights had already gone out. You can see there's an incident there that looks like Sanson and Hefford coming together there, and you can just see Sanson falling down the order. He perhaps just missed his braking point into Moss, and we are seeing a replay there. So Hefford nearly drops it, and who's that coming through? It was Sanson, and Sanson very near. Well, in fact, they touched going into Moss.
Yeah, he got loose, and that was it, wasn't it? Unfortunately for Colin Sanson, he was full on the brakes. Ralph Cullinan and Jamie Ayres side by side. Currently at the moment going through turn 8. Ayres is on the inside. Ralph Cullinan's on the outside. He's going to try and hang it all the way around. The outside is Ralph. Is he going to have the inside for turn 9? He does, but that's going to give Ayres the inside for turn 10. Can Ayres manage to hold on? He is. He's stuck it in deep, hoping it sticks. Ralph's around trying to run the outside. They try a little bit of contact. Ayres comes out in front this time around there, Tom. And, well, that was quite lucky, as that could have ended up in disaster.
It could have been, but both of them leaving each other room and respect through the S's and Whites all the way to the line, and Jamie is still able to retain his lead. Ralph Cullinan having a very good start in second place. We are looking at the Pro and AMs in terms of where they are. Roger Morton just moving in front of Fiona Siddons into third place in the category. Charles Cullinan leading in the AM class then ahead of Darren McLean. And just seeing Siddons fighting back with Morton. Good to see that she's in the tussle going on, although she's dropped it and just about avoids the wall, but she'll have lost places as a consequence. And someone's gone off there. That's Cullinan that's gone off.
Ralph.
Cullinan's dropped. Yeah, he's gone off at turn 2. Where's Ralph?
Yeah, he's gone round. He unfortunately dropped it on turn 2 exit. The back end's just kept going. He's tried to hold on. He's then snapped it the other way, and unfortunately for Ralph, it's just gripped and it's gone off the side again. And unfortunately for him, he's now dropped all the way down the order into 15th place as Ralph Cullinan. You see him there on the left-hand side, down in 15. The rain again playing his part here.
Indeed, and we are seeing changes left, right and centre. Jamie Wilson going up into second place then as a result of Cullinan's spin. Hefford back up into third and right behind Jamie. The two Jamies first and second, then we've got Hefford and it's Kellerman the leader of the AMs, and we've got Dan Hunt and Darren McLean. Dan Hunt having a brilliant start so far in this one, crashed out in qualifying, but has made up for it so far in the race. He's found himself up in the top 5 already before lap 2 is even done.
Yeah, Dan Hunt sitting in 5th place. He's up 9 places here. Kellerman's in front of him as well. Steve Hefford's there once again, and Roger Morton, Mick Barry, and also Pete Newman's trying to make his way through the field. Pete there sitting down in 9th place, up 6 places again as well. So hopefully for Pete's sake he'll get himself into that top 10. It's top 10 reverse, so he is inside at the moment. Fiona Siddons will be on pole position if she can hang on just in front of Andy Littler. We'll have to see how that one goes, but Charles Kellerman leading the AMs.
It looks like Darrell Wright and Ralph Cullingham have had a moment together, hence why they're both in the pits. It'll be good to see what's happened to the pair of them, James. But yeah, Cullinham's racing on for Budsworth after a promising beginning, and Darrell Wright, well, I don't know if these two have come together, because it's not the first time we've seen those two. Do you remember last week at Phillip Island on the last lap, Darrell Wright was leading the AM class until he and Cullingham came together and Wright lost the class win. We are seeing what happened to Darrell Wright here.
Oh, yeah, puddle.
He lost? Yeah, he hit a puddle and he just caught the wall.
Yeah, he aquaplaned through the puddle. The back end came round. Good night, Vienna, for Darrell Wright. But Darren McLean, Roger Martin, Pete Newman and Mick Barry mixing it up here as well. You see Fiona Simmons in the background, currently sitting in that pole position spot, being chased down by Andy Littler. And then you got Darren McLean in there as well, and we'll see how he gets on, and hopefully he might be able to, can he get Charles Kellerman for the lead at the AMs for Darren McLean? We'll have to see what happens here going into the final 9 minutes. Great racing so far, few spins, Cullen's been out, Wright's been out, there's been a couple of others as well that have gone round here, Tom, and you know, unfortunately for them, it's tough, isn't it?
It is very tough. It's difficult to find your breaking point, particularly when you're the leader of the group. When you're behind a car, it's more advantageous because you just basically afford to maybe just back off a little bit and just allow the driver ahead of you to outbrake themselves, and you can take advantage. So McLean, for the time being, is having to make do with that, but he has got Charles Cullingham right in front of him, so you can use him as a pinpoint to know where to brake. He's got to be wary of the cars behind, so he doesn't break sooner than they would have liked. So, oh, we could just see Mick Barry dropping it there on the grass and gathering it all up in time. But we've seen this before from Mick. Sometimes he could just go a little bit too quick into the corners and run too out far wide, and he just eventually remains on the tarmac. And we're right on board with Roger Morton. He chases after Pete Newman, Darren McLean and Charles Cullingham as they go into Moss, and comes in and out. How does he get on behind them here? He sits back a little bit, not rushing it too much. Dan Hunt is ahead of Charles Cullingham into 4th position overall, and he can set his sights on Hefford, Wilson and Az.
Yeah, that's not really for position. I don't. That's not for class position. I don't think Kellerman's going to be that worried about it. But you can see Pete Newman now making a move. Roger Morton's tucked in behind him here. Is Pete going to take and look up the inside of turn 8? He has a look. He's having a look. He's got to stay out of the puddles going into 8 at the moment before he goes round now as well. There's a puddle on the entrance into 9. Don't get too close. It is there. Darren McLean's in it at this moment in time. Round turn 10. Through Whites they go the right-hander, around they avoid the curb. Pete Newman no way through. It's almost like the rain's neutralising the drive.
Oh, Mick Barry's hit the wall. Mick Barry hit the wall on the exit of Whites, and that is pretty much his race done.
Ooh, Mick Barry. I think Ralph Cullen's had another moment as well here, unfortunately for Ralph. Not looking too clever for him. Here is Fiona Siddons as she overtakes the recovering Mick Barry as he's gone off and has lost it coming around the final corner there as well. So action, and Charles Kellerman still leading the AMs with Darren McLean, Pete Newman, Roger Morton all in the mix as well.
Yeah, and Kellerman doing his best to hold up Darren McLean in the fight for the AM class victory. Pete Newman further back, Mick Barry calling it quits for this one, which is another shame, another incident that he's been involved in. Ooh, we could just see McLean nearly dropping it down, nearly running too deep and falling further behind Kellerman. And Newman and Morton had to slam on the brakes.
Yeah, Morton and Newman are together further back. You see McLean now losing a little bit of time to Charles Kellerman. You've got Jamie Ayres with Wilson closing in as well. That was down below a second at 1 point, 6.5 minutes on the clock. Can Wilson get any closer to Jamie Ayres than what he already is now? It's going to be interesting to see how he gets on. Fiona
Oh, there's a spin. He's spun this Wilson. He's spun into the last into turn number 9, and he's dropped back.
Consistency. This is what we need out of Mr. Wilson. We said he wasn't running near the top and he makes mistakes. He was running near the top that time, and unfortunately he still made a mistake. So tough for him, and he just got missed by Steve Hufford there.
Yeah, and now McLean's back in the fight with Kellerman going into turn number 1. Kellerman able to hold his nerve, taking a little bit of a wider line, which is ideal in these conditions. And now Pete Newman's got through on both McLean and Kellerman. Kellerman won't be too bothered about that because Newman's in a different class to where he is, and Newman can just go after Wilson if he can. Wilson down to 4th place after his spin, running in 2nd place. And Parfitt, after his terrible start, and now set his sights on Jamie Ayres in front after a terrible beginning.
Yeah, Roger Morton, Darren McLean side by side out of turn 3. They're going to drop down the hill. McLean is still in front of Morton. Down the hill they go, down the left-hander. They're going to be looking at the uphill braking. Get the car slowed down before you can. Oh, Roger Morton does not get the car slowed down enough. He's hit the little bit of the grass, and around he goes, as he also nearly takes out Colin Sanson there by hitting the wrong gear on his steering wheel. But Steve Hufford got Dan Hunt for company now as he's closing in as well around the right-hander here. So Steve Hufford, Dan Hunt, this is the battle for 2nd overall and 2nd in their pros.
Yeah, and this is a cracking battle we're about to watch now as Hunt thinks about where Hufford is placed in the car, and I think Hunt can afford to take a wider line if he wishes to do so. They are crossing over the line, completing lap number 6. They're beginning lap 7 now, and we see Hunt on the inside of Hufford into turn number 1. And Hunt should have the high ground, but Hufford may be able to get better acceleration on the exit. Hunt is still nose to tail with him, but he'll have to settle in behind turn 2. This is Clayton that they're heading through. Oh, that was very close. Oh, they nearly made contact there too, Hufford and Hunt, and luckily they keep pointing the right way with the Momo car still in front.
Yeah, there was contact. They didn't nearly, there was contact. Steve Hufford took a little bit of a bump up the bottom from Dan Hunt as he's coming down a left-hander now, dropping up into Moss. Hufford lets Hunt go this time, and there was a little bit of contact. It just unsettled Steve Hufford there. On lap 7 we go, round the right-hander, round another one, looking at the dip on the inside if there's not too many puddles, and now it's down on Steve Hufford. Can he get the run on Jamie Ayres coming in, on Dan Hunt, sorry, coming into turn 8. He's covering the inside line, his Hunt. He's going to send it Hufford round the outside if anything's going to happen here as well. Is he going to close in? He's closing and closing and closing. Is he going to go for it now, Steve Hufford, or is he just going to push Dan Hunt along? Pushes him, gives him a little bump. I don't think he's going to make the move here, Tom. He's not looking aggressive going into 8.
No, but I'd say one driver's had a very, very torrid lap, and that's Charles Kellerman, who was once the AM leader at the beginning of the last lap, has now fallen down to 10th place overall and 5th in class. We'll hope to get a replay on what's happened to him. But either way, Hufford still right on the tail of Hunt, who's able to get through and into 2nd position.
Yeah, this is what happened to Charles Kellerman here. That's Darren McLean in front of him. Was there contact or was there not? Kellerman coming up the hill, loses the back end. He's already lost it. He
caught the bump as he entered the corner there on the exit, and that just threw him off the road completely.
Yeah, he'd already lost it on the way in there, unfortunately for Charles Kellerman. Hunt gets the car sideways coming out of turn 2. No surprise, really. Good evening, Mr. Jones. Hope you are well. Looks slippery when wet. It is slippery. You wouldn't want to be out there at the moment because you will just be sliding all over the place currently. So Steve Hufford and Dan Hunt there fighting it out for 2nd overall, while Jamie Ayres is out in front. You can see him just going into turn 4. Round the double right-hander, I believe this might be the final lap of the race, depending on how long it takes for Ayres to get up the Mario Andretti.
Well, next time will be the last lap, James, because we're on lap 8, and next time they cross over the line will be the beginning of the last lap. So it will be a 9-lap race for this one, although if it was in the dry, it will probably be 10. But either way, Ayres has got a 3-second margin, and Sanson has had his second spin of the race. What has happened to him? Because Andy Lickler, Steve Hansford, Charles Kellerman have all got through. What has happened to Colin? Because he has had a wretched race, hasn't he?
He's already facing the wrong way, unfortunately, there. See what he did the first time, coming out of turn 2 on the entrance into 3. Round he goes, just doesn't get the car stopped, onto the grass. Good night, Vienna. Spin, baby, spin. And that is exactly what he did as Dan Hunt. Now with Steve Everett closing down, everything looks pretty much sewn up at this moment in time. Ayres is out in the lead, Hunt second, Hefford third. McLean leading the arms with Littler and Hansford behind him. So it's going to be tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Hunt to make up that ground in one lap. So Jamie Ayres can just afford to take it easy, especially in these conditions around a circuit like this. But they should all be acclimatised to the conditions now, knowing every single braking point, when to apply the throttle. And we're looking further back. We see Roger Morton getting through in on Fiona Siddons, who is without her front bumper.
Both of them are.
Well, to be fair, about half of the field were without their front bumpers, but we saw it at Alton Park, where some got through to the end of the race without their front bumper. It was almost like they didn't really need the front bumper, although I'm sure they would rather have it than not. But either way, you can just see Morton getting through on... Oh, and Pete Newman has had a moment somewhere. What's happened to him?
Yeah, he's just unfortunately dropped out. The leaders are coming up here. I've got a funny feeling coming out of turn 2. He's hit the bump. His back end's going to go round. He's going to have no traction whatsoever. Good night, unfortunately, for Pete Newman. And around he goes, hits the wall in the process. So turn 2 being very, very tricky, but it is going to be Jamie Ayres for race 1 here. The same as what he did last week. Wrapped up the race 1 win for Jamie Ayres, and let's see how we can get on for the rest of the evening. Dan Hunt's going to be in second, Hefford's going to finish in third, and it looks like McLean is going to win the AMS, which is great for him with Littler in second. But it is Jamie Ayres comes around, he takes the victory here as well. Job done for Jamie Ayres in race 1. Dan Hunt comes over the line, then Darren McLean's going to wrap up the AMS with Andy Littler and Hansford there. Great result for Steve Hansford. Hasn't seen him on the podium for a bit, and he's just got himself a third place if he can get to the end of the race. But Darren McLean coming over here as well. Great racing for Darren McLean. You know, there was the incident, but at the end of the in qualifying with Andy Littler, but he seems to have had a good race.
Yeah, he has done. I think Pete Newman's had another spin at the penultimate turn, but I think it has continued, unless he's pointing the right way. Darren McLean taking the AM victory over the line. Where is Pete Newman? He's coming over the line now, is Pete Newman, so he'll be 6th overall, just ahead of Andy Lickler, who will be 2nd in AM. And we are seeing a replay of Newman coming into the penultimate turn of... Yeah, just carried too much speed, missed the apex completely, and he caught the barrier. Yeah,
both Pure Simmons boys are going to have no bumpers on their car driving around. There's Roger Morton. Fiona Siddons comes over the line. Here comes Alan Toon. He's got a bumper as old Tooney. So great job from him managing to get to the end of the race in this rain-soaked circuit. Over the line he goes, and then Ralph Cullinan will be the last one, the Irishman himself, there to finish off round the final corner. He goes. A very interesting race. I think I was expecting the draft to play more of an effect, but it didn't quite have that effect that I thought it would. In the dry, it would have been a different story, but in the wet, it just didn't really seem to do a lot. But let's give you the results here. Jamie Ayres is in first with Dan Hunt. Oh, where are you going? There we go. Jamie Ayres is your winner with Dan Hunt in second, Steve Hefford in third, and Jamie Wilson in fourth. Darren McLean wins the AMS and fifth overall, with Pete Newman separating himself from Andy Littler and Steve Hansford, who wrap up the podium for the AMS. Charles Kellerman in ninth, Colin Sanson 10th, Roger Morton in 11th, Fiona Siddons 12th, Sir Alan Toon, Ralph Cullinan, Mick Barry, and Darrell Wright, the final person there as well. Great racing overall, and I think at the end of the day, I thought the draft would have played a lot more effect there, Tom. It does it in the dry. I'm just surprised that it didn't really do a whole lot in the wet.
Well, I think for once we are seeing more of the driver ability as opposed to relying on the draft to give him a speed advantage. But thankfully, we saw some good racing, not too many instances. We did see a lot of spins, in all honesty, but that's kind of expected in these wet conditions on a circuit like this. That's so undulating. And the drivers will be thinking about race 2. Are we going to see any drivers going out on circuit during this warm-up session? Because I'd like to think someone may want to get a few kilometres in there. Well, there are drivers out on the circuit, so they'll be desperate to ensure they get all the acclimatization that they need, because you don't really know about track grip because it changes all the time. So it's just understanding the conditions before the second race. Will it be a wet one again? I would imagine it will be.
Yeah, I think it will be here. I don't think it's going to clear at any point soon. So we'll have to see how it goes on there. It was the final one in 10th place. Colin Sanson is going to be on pole position for race number 2. So big ask of Colin there, as he's going to be on pole position. So going to be interested to see how he gets on from there.
Yeah, and he needs a good race as Colin. He came together with Ralph Cullinan, I think, on the first lap in race number 1. And I think he had another spin later on, so it was a race to forget really for Colin, but he's got a chance to make up for that in race 2. Could you see a few spins there from the drivers, but that's fine. That's part of the warm-up session to find where the grip is. And yeah, I would probably expect more of the same from race 2, less of the draft reliance, and more about just getting through corners and pulling off some really good overtakes in the corners, really. I mean, the Mario Andretti straightaway is expected to play its part again. And of course, Moss. I mean, Moss, we've seen drivers carrying too much speed through there and then just having to make up for it in the coming laps, because you don't really have a lot of time to make up all the ground you need to catch up to your rival in the closing laps of any of the races. It is 15 minutes after all, so not a lot of time to make up. But sometimes when you are sitting in these cars, the amount of time you can make up over the course of a single lap is more than you imagine, because you don't really know about who can get a good exit out of corners. It's not about who has the quickest car. It comes down to very much driver ability, and that's how we like it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, you know, we get to look forward to how these drivers get on here. There's been quite a few I've seen over the time, and I think at the end of the day, you know, these guys that we've got have been the sort of main core bunch of it all, and have been there and thereabouts for the last 2.5 years I've been here. And I think this is the thing, when you get a great bunch of lads and they are driving together every single week, you know, you don't kind of want to lose that mates feel that they've got here and how good they are racing together, because let's face it, some of the moves that these guys do, if this was an official, well, they'll just be going round and round and round.
Yeah, and I'm sure the drivers will understand, you know, the track as we speak. We've just seen Steve Hefford being followed by Fiona Siddons through the S's, and how are they going to get on in race number 2? Where did Fiona Siddons end up? Because I think she did finish inside the top 10, didn't she?
No,
just
12.
outside 12, yeah, so she's going to have a difficult one to endure, but at least she's towards the back where she can really establish where the drivers ahead are finding their braking points, because we have to expect 1 or 2 to really drop it on lap 1 and she'll pick up the pieces. And yeah, it'd be nice to see if Fiona can pick up a podium in class, because I don't think we've seen that from her in the summer campaign.
No, I don't believe so. As I look back through now, because there's been Ollie Ricks kind of dominating everything at the moment in the AMs as well. So we'll have to see how he gets on. Right, here is the grid for race 2, Tom. If you want to take us through it, and be prepared, they do get on quite quick when it gets going. So there you go.
So Colin Sanson on reverse grid pole ahead of Charles Kellyman, with Steve Hansford and Andy Lickler alongside on the second row. And we've got Pete Newman, the highest of the pros, in 5th ahead of Darren McLean, followed by Jamie Wilson and Steve Hefford. Dan Hunt and Jamie Ayres, the race winner of race 1, is in 10th place. Roger Morton, 11th ahead of Fiona Siddons. On the 6th row of the grid is Sir Alan Toon, Ralph Cullinan, Mick Barry and Darryl Wright rounding up the grid.
Good job.
So here we go, race number 2 of the evening here at Motorsport Park in Canada. Can Sanson get off to a clean start this time ahead of Charles Kellerman, who will be determined to pick up the AM victory. So we're just waiting for Jamie Wilson to get onto the grid now, which he does so, and we've got 5 red lights waiting for the drivers. We've got 1 light, we've got 2, 3, 4 and 5. Lights on and lights off. Colin Sanson getting off to a sweet start ahead of Charles Kellerman, and Steve Hansford has got off fine, but not so for Andy Lickler as they go through turn number 1. Pete Newman getting off to a brilliant start actually. The highest of the pros. He's now into 3rd place, and he sets his sights on Charles Kellerman, but he runs wide through turn number 1. You can just see the cars further behind bunching up as they go through turn number 2 of Clayton, and they are just getting through just about sandwiched, almost boxing in some of the drivers. But somehow they made it through safe and sound. Just see Ralph Cunningham making his way through the field from the back. And it seems to be a relatively clean start, but how will they get through Moss Corner, James?
Yeah, they were 4 wide at one point going round through turn 2 there as well, with the people involved and the people overlapping. But Colin Sanson's got the start he needed. He's going to drop down the hill. However, he has got the very fast charging Pete Newman behind him. Charles Kellerman behind that one. That's second in the AMs. He's got Dan Hunt. We know how quick he is here, Tom, as well. So poor old Charles Kellerman is going to have his hands full a little bit. Let's see what Steve Heffer could do. I think there might have been somebody going off in the background there, but at the moment, Steve Heffer chasing down Dan Hunt.
Yeah, it was Sir Alan Toon that went off at turn number 3. He had a spin of his own, but thankfully didn't take anyone with him. But Colin Sanson getting off to a fantastic start ahead of Pete Newman, but I think that's about to change in the near future. Newman right on his tail. I would expect a change of lead before the first lap is done.
Oh, there was contact. Oh, there was a little bit of contact. You see Colin Sanson getting absolutely swamped there. There was contact with Pete Newman. That overtake did take place, but it was not clean. It was not a clean one whatsoever. There was contact going into the final, into turn 8 as well here, Tom.
Yeah, here we are. So we're into the right-hand. Oh, yeah, there was. It almost looked like Pete Newman turned in on Sanson into the corner, so I wonder if that will get looked into afterwards. And yeah, that just knocked Sanson's momentum and nearly took out Dan Hunt and Charles Kellerman, who's just been overtaken by Steve Hefford, but not to worry for him. Wilson getting in front of Ayres now as well, as we are on the 2nd lap of this race 2. Sir Alan Toon in the pits, presumably with damage after that off on lap 1. We hope to see him back on the circuit and get to the end like we see him do. And yeah, a lot is going on. Newman and Hunt going into battle. That's going to rage on all the way to the end, I would presume. And we are looking at Jamie Wilson just holding up Jamie Ayres in their own battle as they go through Moss Corner. And Ralph Cullinan doing his best. He's had a good start actually, this Ralph Cullinan, providing he doesn't take anyone off.
Yeah, I just saw it looked like he was just about to go and try and have a go up the inside of Darren McLean here, but here's Dan Hunt. Is he going to make a move over Pete Newman? That's going to be the question. Newman leaves the inside open for him.
Yeah, he's left it quite easy for him to make his way through on the inside. I think Newman is playing the long game here. If they start tussling, it'll allow the field to close up. So I think for Newman to let Hunt go now is a sensible decision. Heffer getting through on Sanson now into 3rd position on circuit, so he can focus on the 2 targets ahead of him. They are Dan Hunt and Pete Newman. Sanson, the leader so far in the AM class, having a relatively strong race so far, although Newman nearly dropping it on the exit of the last turn of whites.
Yeah, he got a bit of a slide, did Pete Newman there as well. Sanson's under pressure from Jamie Ayres behind and Wilson behind that there as they continue to fight it out. Charles Kellerman in the 7th, sitting 2nd in the AMs. There is the AMs. He's got 3.1 seconds to get to Colin Sanson, but he's got Ralph Cullinan sending out the inside.
Yeah, it was textbook stuff there for Ralph Cullinan, bottom of all those in pro, but he's making his way through past the AM drivers, no problem. And we are seeing Kellerman there as he tries to gather it all up. He's got Darren McLean right behind him. These 2 are fighting over 2nd place in the AM class as they head down towards the Moss Corner. how will these two brave out? Will any of them brave it into Moss and make a move? We'll have a look to say we're right on board with Darren McLean as he goes through the first part of Moss. And ahead of him is Charles Kellerman, who gets through there no problem. You can just see the activity on the steering wheel there. It's very, very important to just keep it under control. Massive levels of concentration needed to ensure that the car goes through there without squirming around too much. Dan Hunt leading by over 1 second on Pete Newman, with Steve Herbert a further 3 seconds behind, with Jamie Ayres for company.
Yeah, Jamie is tucked up right behind Steve Hefford at the moment, round turn 8, through the left-hander of 9 they go. Hefford's trying to close it on Newman. Newman's trying to get hold of Dan Hunt in front. Hunt opening up the gap. We'll see the lap times here as they come round. And let's have a look as they go over the board. Dan Hunt, fastest lap of the race, 141.39. Pete Newman, 142.32. So Hunt absolutely flying, as well as Jamie Wilson, Colin Sampson in there having a battle behind him. Colin leading the AMS. He's going to hope that nothing happens to him.
Well, he's got Kellerman 4.5 seconds behind, so Sanson won't want to toss that out too much. Oh, just see someone switching around there. Who was that behind Sanson? That will have been, well, it's certainly not Kellerman, because he's nearly 5 seconds back. I think it was Jamie Wilson that nearly dropped it.
Yeah, getting a little bit slidey. Jamie Wilson and Colin Sanson. Wilson's tucked up right behind him, going down the hill, left-hander. Now he's going to look for the uphill braking. Got to get the car stopped in a straight line. Sanson hits the curb. That's Wilson through. Job done. What about Jamie Ayres? Is he going to be able to get Steve Hefford by the end of the Mario Andretti?
Yeah, that was a brilliant move actually from Jamie Wilson around the outside of Colin Sanson into Moss. Now he's only got the pro drivers standing in his way, but we will see how this battle between Hefford and Ayres plays out as they go through the Mario Andretti straightaway. Ayres up the inside. Normally the inside line is the best line to take going into the S's. I don't think Hefford's going to fight this one very, very hard.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Ayres is going to go through. Now he's got to try and get Hefford onto the back of Pete Newman. You see Charles Kellerman and Darren McLean battling it out for second and third here, with Darrell Wright in the mix. So the AMS putting up a fight as normal. Second, third and fourth in class, battling away with Steve Hansford just in the background. So it could be a great fight going on in the AMS very shortly. We might have second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth if Roger Morton can get a hold of him.
Yeah, and Colin Sanson's got a bit of a buffer over them, because Ralph Cullinan is the next driver behind Sanson, so he won't want to battle it out with Cullinan too much. But yes, you're right, we've got a potential 5-car battle for second place in the AM class. No pro drivers in their way, they are all together almost pretty much in the same picture, and we are seeing McLean go for it on Kellerman into the right-hander of turn number 3, and he's able to get through, no problem there. Well, they're both getting through, no problem. McLean's still not through on Kellerman yet, but he may be able to go for it as they enter Moss.
Yeah, down the hill, it's not close enough. He's going to have to wait. I'll tell you what, Darrell Wright is close enough. Oh, Darrell! Oh, my dearie, gee whiz, Batman. He missed the back end of Darren McLean there by not a lot, did Darrell Wright. And unfortunately, he's gone from making a move to third to now finding out with fifth in class with Roger Morton. So 0 to 0 in a matter of seconds.
He can make up for that. I mean, very well done there to Darren McLean for seeing that, because otherwise that would have been a T-bone. But now we are seeing a three-way battle for what is fourth place in class, and we are seeing Morton making his way through on the inside. That should be no problem right there. Darrell Wright looking to take advantage of an open door, and does so. You can just see positions changing as we speak. Plenty of changes there. Sanson's lead over Kellerman in AM is nearly 8 seconds.
Sanson's absolutely flying at the moment. He's sitting 6th overall here. His overall standings on the left-hand side, and you can see he's doing an absolute great job. But this is where the battles are. Darren McLean, Kellerman, Morton, Wright, Hansford just trying to hold on to that as well. Wilson is sitting in 5th place, and he's got Steve Hefford in his sight. 7 tenths at the moment, whether or not he can get there. Charles Kellerman, Darren McLean side by side coming out of 2, going into 3 here, Tom, and McLean holds on.
Yeah, McLean through on Kellerman at last into second place in the AM category and 8th overall in this race. Kellerman will just need to just settle down, because once you go out of the racing, going off the racing line, it's quite difficult to just keep hold of the momentum very, very quickly, and you can end up tumbling down like a domino. And he's in front of Roger Morton now, who is also closing in. He's looking to go for it into Moss. He thinks about it, but there just isn't enough room for both cars to get through. It's just too far back there, Roger Morton. But if he can do what he did on the last lap by getting through on Steve Hansford, getting through on Steve Hansford on the last lap, and do the same with Charles Kellerman this time around, it should be a sweet overtake without the two coming together.
Yeah, here he goes now. Is he going to take the inside? He is. Charles Kellerman gave him the inside. I'm quite surprised he did. Now he's going to, unfortunately, going to be on the, we allowed the inside for 9 for Kellerman, but it will give Morton the inside for turn 10. Through goes Morton. Job done, I think, at the moment, unless Kellerman's coming around the outside. He's not. He backed off. He allowed Morton that position. Morton now puts himself on the podium in 3rd. Oh!
Yeah, all the spin. Spin for Darren McLean.
Oh, and Steve Hansford.
Yeah.
Both of them there together. That's put Roger Morton up into 2nd in the AM. McLean's going to be kicking himself. But Pete Newman has got JPBroadcasting closing in.
Yeah, there's a battle raging now for 2nd place in AM. Dan Hunt looks safe where he is, but we have got a potential 4-way battle for 2nd in the Pro category. It's a shame there for Darren McLean. Sorry, I was trying to get my words out there. Darren McLean spinning, and then Steve Hansford spinning almost in sympathy to avoid contact. Both of them able to continue, but they have both lost ground, and now Ayres is right on the tail of Pete Newman in the fight for the runner-up spot in the category.
Yeah, Jamie Ayres tucked in right behind at the moment. Pete Newman in 2nd, Ayres in 3rd. We're going to see another move, I feel, if Ayres gets the opportunity. Let's see what goes on. Is he going to be able to come up over the crest of the slight little incline? He's been given the inside again. Newman does not like that inside line, or he's trying to defend the outside going into 9. Is he going to give Ayres the position? He is. Is he? Here comes Newman now. I think Ayres is going to get it. And Newman gives him up again almost. It's like they don't like the outside line of 8 at the moment.
We're beginning to see the bump draft taken into effect, aren't we now, on that Marion Drifting straightaway? We didn't see it in race 1 as much, but it feels like the conditions have improved from the first race, and the bump draft is very much coming into its own with the drivers taking advantage of it. But yeah, we're not seeing drivers battling it and just covering the inside into the corner, because they are cautious of the line you need for the S's. Once you go offline or off the racing line into the corner and missing the apex, it compromises the entry for the next 2 corners that follow.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? You need to make sure you set yourself up not only for that one, but for the next one. You're never looking at the corner to corner. You're looking at corner after the corner after the corner. You know, you need to make sure you're keeping it ahead at the moment. And Jamie Ayres, with Pete Newman tucked in right behind as well, there's going to be one more. Will be the final lap this time around. Dan Hunt sitting in that first spot. Jamie Ayres in 2nd, Pete Newman in 3rd, with Steve Hansford behind him here. So we could have a top 4 or top 3 fight away for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, depending on what goes on over the next lap. And Ralph Cullinan has got himself right up to the back of Colin Sanson. Sanson's not going to want Ralph anywhere near him here, and hopefully will allow Ralph to go through.
Yeah, Darrell Wright's through on Steve Hansford into 11th place overall and 5th in class. In fact, Hansford, I think, has had an error somewhere. Yeah, he's in the pits and he's out of the race now as Hansford, as he's Fiona Siddons, who we've lost a couple of laps ago. I don't know what's happened to the pair of them, but I can imagine they've had a moment each on separate occasions.
Yeah, Steve Hansford looks like he's just made an error here going through 2. The back end's going to get loose. There's clearly a puddle somewhere coming out of turn 2. There he goes, already loose. He's trying to avoid Darrell Wright. Bang, as he did earlier on, trying to avoid Darren McLean, unfortunately for him. Newman's got Hansford tucked up, final lap of the race. Dan Hunt out in 1st, Jamie Ayres 2nd, Newman sitting in 3rd with Hansford.
Yeah, this is going to go on to the end now. Newman in front of Steve Hansford. This is the battle for the final podium position in Pro as they come down the hill through Clayton, and they're heading towards Quebec of turn number 3. We saw Alan Toon go off there, hence why he's no longer in the race. And Jamie Ayres' 2nd position is far from safe here, because if they take advantage of the draft through the Mario Andretti straightaway, his second place could become a little bit more precarious by the second. Roger Morton looking to get through on Charles Kellerman. This is the fight for second in the AM category. Kellerman was able to get through on Morton, but Morton is not giving it up by any means.
No, he's going to have the inside for free. That means they're going to run side by side down the hill and up into Moss now as well. The leaders are on that back straightaway. I want to see these guys just go into Moss. Kellerman does manage to hold it. Can Newman hang on to that third place from Steve Hefford? If Newman wants to send him anywhere, send him around the outside. Don't let him have that inside line and get him there as well. It doesn't look like Hefford's going to look like he's even remotely menacing going into turn 8. There's going to be almost turn 9. Is there going to be contact? There isn't, but Dan Hunt's going to come over the line. He's going to take the win here for the second race of the evening. Jamie Ayres comes through in second. Pete Newman, Steve Hefford running down to the line. It is as they were, and then Colin Sanson, I think, is going to wrap up the win in the hands.
Yeah, very comfortable win for Colin Sanson, well deserved as well. Over 15 seconds clear, or 16 seconds clear of everyone else in that respective group. And the battle between Kellerman and Morton is going to go right onto the checker flag. Is Morton able to just get the power down, get alongside, take advantage of the draft there, pulls out alongside. Kellerman does his best, but I think he should hold on to second place in class and does so. Morton taking the last spot in the category ahead of Darren McLean, Andy Littler, Darrell Wright and Mick Barry will be the last of those to finish.
Yeah,
Mick Barry just...
It's not a good one. Coming out of turn 2, we've seen this before multiple times. Back end's going to go round, there it goes. And Mick's lost more front end than he already has on the bumper.
Yeah, he'll just want this race to be over now. Just get the car over the line and just have a bit of a break if he can and just reflect on things. We don't know for certain if it's going to be dry or wet for race number 3, so he's just got to really forget this one and just focus his attentions on a clean third race. He really could do with one. He's had too many incidents this season, Mick Barrow, hence why his points table has been rather lackluster. And I think this is another race to forget, but at least he's made it home.
Yeah, he has come across over the line. I'll bring the results up and then we're going to go for a short break, guys, where we'll be back for race 3. But there you go, Tom.
So race 2 ends with Dan Hunt taking the victory ahead of Jamie Ayres in second place. Pete Newman completing the podium ahead of Steve Hefford, Jamie Wilson and Ralph Cullen running out all of those in pro. Colin Sanson, a clear winner in AM ahead of Charles Kellerman. It's Roger Morton in third place ahead of Darren McLean, Andy Littler, Darrell Wright and Mick Barry with the rest of those two finished. Those that didn't finish, they are Steve Hunsford, Fiona Siddons and Sir Alan 2. 2 races down, 2 races to go. Do not go anywhere, folks. We're going to get a drink and we'll be back for race number 3 very, very soon. Do not go anywhere.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here for the final two races. Race 3, don't forget, a complete random reverse. Race 4 will be a top 11 reverse. I'm still James Parfitt. I'm still joined by Tom Cairns here in the booth. Tom, we've seen a very interesting two races over the last beginning to this round as well. You know, Motorsport, I thought would deliver a lot in the dry. We obviously had the rain to start off with. We've got a lot going forward to the dry, though, and I think we could see some very interesting drafting now going up that back straightaway.
Yeah, so the draft should come into effect a lot more in the dry conditions as opposed to what we saw in the wet. We did see more of it in race 2 as opposed to race 1. You can just see the drivers there now acclimatising to the conditions. The times we are seeing are, I'd probably say, about 8 seconds a lap faster to what we saw. So I think we're looking at around about a 10-lap race, possibly 11, depending on how quick the drivers can get over the line. So this session does not determine the grid, for your information. James rightly pointed out it's a randomised grid, so anything can happen. It could be anyone starting at the head of the field. But race number 4 is top 11 of the race 3 result, or reverse top 11 of the race 3 result, which should make for a very, very interesting one. But they seem to be coping in the dry better now in comparison to what we saw from them in the wet. I think they are very, very glad to get this opportunity.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think after starting in the rain, I think this is going to, probably be a lot easier, to be honest. I'll be very surprised if they have any major problems like we had in the rain, and I think we could be closer going into certain ones. As I say that, Dan Hunt's just taking a trip off the side of the circuit there. Unfortunately for him, still on the grass, running up out of turn 3, goes back to the pits. Ralph Cullinan as well. We've got probably about a minute left of this practice where they advance the session and go into what will be the race session for 3. Is this going to change the dynamic, do you think? Do we think we're going to see different winners now we've got dry weather?
I wouldn't expect it to change too much. We saw drivers settling into the conditions very, very well, particularly Colin Sanson in race number 2. He had a very, very clean second race compared to what he had in the first. And I would probably say, given the number of pro drivers we've got for this evening, I would still expect to see more of the same between the likes of Dan Hunt, Jamie Ayres and all that.
Yeah, the normal fast guys at the front. I think the AMs could be mixing it up here as well. We've had Colin Sampson wrap up a win, Darren McLean wrap up a win. We've not had the two same podiums out of the AMs yet. We've had McLean, Littler, Hansford, Sanson, Kellerman, Morton. So I think the AMs are going to change it up a little bit, where we've had Ayres, Hunt, Hefford and Hunt, Ayres, Hefford. So same 3 on the top for them. But the AMs have been mixing it up, and we'll see where they are when we go into what will be the grid for race 3. Probably going to be advancing the session quite shortly, so we'll hopefully be able to get this up and going and get race 3 underway to see who has bagged the pole for the random grid as well. How important is that going to be, do we reckon, in the dry?
Well, I think it's important to get up to a good start. I mean, if it's an AM driver on pole, then it could make for a very interesting start to the race. If it's a pro driver on pole, whoever it may be, I would expect them to pull away from the lights and play a comfortable margin. But it is a roll of the dice as to who's going to be at the head of the field. Steve Hefford is determined to get some mileage in, as are all the drivers. We've not seen everyone, not absolutely everyone's gone out and done some dry weather running, as far as I know. But Ralph Cullinan seems to have coped in the dry conditions so far, and he could be one to look out for, actually, Ralph Cullinan, because he had a better second race, I think, compared to what he had in the first one, where he came together with Dale Wright at the beginning. And so can he pick up that first win of the season in the summer campaign? Because he's yet to pick up a win so far.
Well, I hope so. He does drive well. He just ends up getting himself caught up in sort of silly little mistakes for Ralph, and I think that's the thing he's got to really kind of get right, I think, as well. He's just got to make sure that he can get to the end and consistently be consistent rather than consistently inconsistent. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. So it'd be interested to see what the Irishman does do, and I'll be interested to see how he gets on and how this random reverse complete race free, whether or not it benefits him or whether or not it doesn't. So we'll have to find out. It is kind of like a lottery at the moment, isn't it, really? You just sort of sit there and wait to see where you're put.
Yeah. It comes down to who are the AM drivers. I think the AM category is going to be one to look out for. Pete Newman's posted a time now, which is good to see him getting some mileage. Otherwise, I think anyone that isn't out on circuit, not getting any mileage in, they're going to struggle in these dry conditions in comparison to all those that have been out. Steve Heffer's had a moment at Moss, but he's able to continue. I don't know whether we are going to race 3 now, or just wait until the practice session does finish.
Yeah, normally advances. I'd be very surprised if they do wait, to be honest. It normally does advance forward. Normally when we're back up and running, it normally kicks in, but we'll have to see. With 7.5 minutes to go of this practice session, and I'm thinking it might kick in and advance forward very, very soon as Darryl McLean and Ralph Cullen both clear Steve Hefford. Oh, nope. Oh, nope. Steve's front end now looks like a hovercraft.
Yeah, hopefully we don't see any of that in the race. Ralph Cullen won't be too impressed with that either, but it appears that the practice session is all but done, as we have race number 3 in terms of the grid coming up. Here we go then. So it's Colin Sanson. So it's not Colin Sanson, it's Darryl Wright on pole ahead of Darren McLean. Steve Hefford and Dan Hunt next, ahead of Colin Sanson and Roger Morton. Pete Newman and Steve Hansford are on row 4, followed by Fiona Siddons and Charles Kellerman. Jamie Ayres and Sir Alan Toon make up row number 6. And we look to the rest of the field. Andy Little, Mick Barry, Ralph Cullinan and Jamie Wilson. James, it's over to you for the start of race number 3 of the evening here at Motorsport Park.
Yeah, the cars are lined up. They're ready to go now as well. Here we go. The lights are going to be coming on. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ladies and gentlemen, race 3 is green. Jamie Ayres jumped the start. He is going to be into the pit lane. I would have fought for a penalty. He was rolling there as well. Darryl Wright's got to start with Darren McLean alongside. Steve Evans tucked in there. Dan Hunt sitting in 4th at the moment. Now they're going to take it 3 wide down into turn 2. This isn't always going to work out best here. Who's going to survive, who's not? Hefford sweeps around the outside. Has he just gone 3rd to 3rd? He has done. Steve Hefford, move of the race so far. He's just gone 3rd to 1st, and he did it all the way round turn 2. Darryl Wright swamped again in a 3 wide situation with Pete Newman and Dan Hunt. It looks like Hunt there. Pete Newman's on the grass. He's spinning back into traffic. Oh, Newman! He's come back again. Oh, Pete Newman lost control. He spun back into traffic. That's Jamie Wilson, Andy Littler, Fiona Siddons and Ralph Cullinan all losing it there as well. You can see Newman on the outside. He goes onto the grass. He can't hold it on the grass. He spins back across the track. Fiona Siddons misses him. Jamie Ayres just misses him. Ralph Cullinan, Jamie Wilson. You can see Andy Littler going round further up as well. Then Ralph has his own moment with Fiona Siddons. They go off the side of the circuit going down turn 3. And unfortunately there, it all went off. But for Steve Hefford, he's opened up 1.5 seconds, Tom.
Well, that was complete madness all the way through. Kick started by Pete Newman running too far out wide. And I don't even know if he lifted off the throttle when he was on the grass. Normally when you're on the grass, you're supposed to lift off the throttle just to allow the car to run through. Had he done that, he wouldn't have allowed the car just to spin around the way he has done. You can just see someone running wide. That is Colin Sanson losing the position to Darryl Wright in class. And he's about to open the door for Roger Morton to head his way through unless Sanson can gather it up through turn 1, and he does so.
Yeah, Colin Sanson goes behind Darryl Wright. Darryl Wright takes the lead in the AMs. This is Darryl Wright, Colin Sanson, Roger Morton, Steve Hampton. It is an AM, 2nd to 7th. Currently at the moment, you can see on the left-hand side all the blues there, and the AMs are doing a great job. Charles Kellerman is into the pits as well. So Charles Kellerman in the pits, so is Andy Littler, so is Pete Newman, so is Ralph Cullen, and so is Jamie Wilson. That's a long list in that pit lane. That's going to leave the AMs battling it out with 2 free pros currently of Dan Hunt and Jamie Ayres. So the AMs have got an opportunity to wrap up an overall podium.
Yeah, there's a good chance to even see Darrell Wright win, or an Allen driver winning overall, depending on what happens to Steve Hefford. But I doubt that Steve Hefford will throw this one away here now. Dan Hunt and Jamie Ayres will be in a battle of their own to see who will finish second in Pro. But this battle between Wright, Sanson and Morton very much raging on now.
Yeah, they're going now. They're looking at 3 wide down. This is where the draft plays a strong part. Darrell Wright's on the inside. And, oh, Morton, hold it. He got too close to Colin Sanson, and Sanson just managed to avoid Roger Morton there. Then we've got Mick Barry. He's leading a battle with Dan Hunt, Steve Hansford to Alan Toon in this one. So it's 4 in this one, 3 in this one, and we've got a little tri battle going on with a little quad battle further back. But Darrell Wright leading the way in the arms. Sanson's off the side of the circuit as well. He's got to be more consistent with his driving, and Morton's trying to close in as well. This second, third and fourth battle could heat up all the way through this race.
Yeah, Mick Barry having a really good race for once, avoiding all the drama and going into battle with Colin Sanson. And is that no, that's Dan Hunt right behind him, isn't it? Steve Hanson's a little bit further back. Oh, actually, we're looking at the wrong battle, aren't we? We're looking at the battle for the AM victory. There is the battle we're talking about. Mick Barry ahead of Dan Hunt. It won't battle with Hunt on this occasion because Hunt's in a different category. Hunt goes through, no problem there. He had a little twitch, actually, on the approach to Moss. Does Mick Barry get the car slowed down there because he went a little bit too deep? But it seems like he's got through there safe and sound.
Yeah, he did on this one. What about Darrell Wright and also Roger Morton? This is where we're going up the Mario Andretti. This is where the draft now is going to play a part. You can see both cars looming over Darrell Wright. Colin Sanson's got this one, heading right up behind him here as well. Colin's gone round the outside of us there on the left-hand side. He's backed in behind us. He didn't quite make the move. Not quite brave enough. He's now alongside going into 8, into 9. There was contact. Did we hold it? We did with Darrell Wright. We managed to hold on, but I can tell you one thing, Colin Sanderson definitely gave us a nudge to try and help us around that time.
Yeah, well, they came very close to tears there. That would have been another incident. But now Roger Morton fancies his chances with Sanson going through turn number 1, but he's not able to get through this time around. Wright holds the margin there. He could do with a victory because he's had quite a wretched evening so far. So Alan Seals in the pits now as well. I don't know what's happened to him because he's not one of those that's got involved in the first drama. I think he's had enough, hasn't he? Yeah, he's had enough with someone, has Sir Alan Seals.
Darren McLean side by side. They're leaning on each other, leaning, going down the hill. Oh, then they just couldn't separate whatsoever. And unfortunately, Darren McLean is in there as well. Colin Sanson has just gone and ran himself off the circuit, unfortunately for Colin. He's made a mistake coming into turn 3. And Roger Morton's gone up. You see Sanson just heading wide. Does not get that car stopped. And unfortunately goes off and loses that place to Roger Morton, which has now left him chasing down Darrell Wright.
Yeah, Morton and Wright will come to blows. Well, I say come to blows. They'll come very close together in their own battle. And on the incident with Sir Alan Two and Darren McLean, I'm going to have to point the blame on Sir Alan Two on that one for not reading the situation as well as he should have done there. McLean had the right to take the line he did into that corner, and Sir Alan just didn't notice that his car was within a car's length alongside.
Yeah, Siddons is into the pits as well. Roger Morton now and Darrell Wright battling it out for first in the AMs. This is the table. You can see the 3 pros, Hefford, Hunt and Ayres, miles away from each other. Hefford's going to wrap this one up, and I can tell you it's going to pretty much probably stay as they were here, and none of them are going to close the gap on each other. But Wright, Morton and Sanson still got the opportunity for that AM win.
Yeah, and like you say, the pro class seems to be a foregone conclusion for this race. It's just a matter of maybe if Hunt or Heifer make a mistake, we may see a little bit of a battle, but that is looking very, very unlikely. But the battle for AM is very much on the line now because Wright and Morton have not picked up a win so far, but Wright's gone off at Moss, and that opens the door for Morton to take advantage. Morton now the new leader in AM.
Yeah, Morton takes Darrell Wright there now. It's right up the Mario Andretti. What can Darrell Wright do? Is he going to be able to close in on Morton here? Which way is Morton going to send him? He's going to send him on the outside, is he? No, right tucks in behind him. Now he goes on that uphill. This is where the draft's going to play an effect for Darrell Wright. Is he going to be able to go around the outside? He's not. He's just doesn't seem quite brave enough going into 8, does Darrell Wright. He needs to be a little bit more assertive with himself. Send it on the outside, you know, give yourself an opportunity at least to have a go, and he just don't seem to have it in him to be able to do it, because he had a perfect opportunity then to go round Roger Morton.
Yeah, and that was nearly coming to blows there between the pair of them. Dan Hunt running in 4th place overall, not too far back from them. Fiona Siddons moving in front of Charles Kellerman, who seems to have found himself in the wars. And we've seen Siddons, Kellerman and Lickler pitted in for multiple laps now, presumably with damage. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Charles Kellerman, because for once tonight has made an absolute mare of it as a consequence of where he's gone.
Yeah, I can tell you, he just entered the pit lane. That's it. He just went in to the pits. Something's happened up front here, because Roger Morton has lost that place to Darrell Wright again. Now Morton's going to slot in coming out of Moss up through to Mario Andretti. Now we go once more. This is where Morton's going to take the opportunity now. Can he make the most of this draft? We're closing in now. He's got to pull out and give himself a fighting chance. This is where he's got to go. There you go. He goes now. There goes Darrell Wright alongside us now. This is where we're going to leave a car's width. We are going to leave that car's width coming into turn 8. Who's going to be brave enough around the outside? Morton goes around the outside. Again, Darrell Wright just does not like turn 8. Morton even got to the apex of 8.
Well, I think I'd say Morton's favourite place to overtake is definitely at that corner, and he's found his way through on Darrell Wright into the lead of the AM class, running a little bit wide on the exit there. That might give Wright a little bit of encouragement to close back in. Colin Sanson is the last driver on the podium at the moment in AM, who's sitting in behind Dan Hunt. Mick Barry and Steve Hansford are in a battle of their own. Mick Barry doing very well so far in this one, just keeping his nose, keeping his car out of trouble. Probably took a bit too much curve there on the entry, and Steve Hansford, I think he'll just want to get some points on the board in this.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably not going to want to do anything too crazy. He's sitting 4th over in AMS. We know Mick can have his own little ta-ta-tas with himself at times, can Mick Barry. So I'm probably going to rely on the fact that Hansford's going to wait for either Mick to make a mistake, or he's going to have a good old go at him here. But Roger Morton again, Darrell Wright's closed in round the double apex of Moss. Off we go again once more, and if Morton can stay ahead here every single lap, it doesn't look like Wright's confident to go around that outside.
No, he doesn't seem to like going around the outside of whether it's Moss or whether it's the right-hander entering the S's. But Morton is keeping his nose in front. Wright will just want to sit behind in the draft in the coming laps. We've got over 4 minutes to go. Steve Pepper is crossing over the line to complete lap number 7, so I can imagine he's got 3 more laps to go in this race. Steve Pepper, so it will be a 10-lap race as opposed to the 9 that we've had in the first 2. But Hefford has got this one pretty much sewn up, no problem.
Yeah, he's just got to keep it on the race circuit as Steve there. Dan Hunt is trying to close up on Darrell Wright. He is second in the pros at the moment, so for him, he's in, you know, you don't really need to push it. As I say, top 11 reverse for race number 4. That's going to put Charles Kellerman in pole position. He's a scaredy cat, says Lisa. Yes, he is. So get hold of Darrell and tell him to be brave and go around the outside of turn 8. He's got the speed. He's just got to... He's got to be more assertive, Lisa, I think, as well. Lisa's obviously Darrell's other half. He's got to be more assertive with himself. He can close right in, but then he just doesn't want to get it round there and get the grip holding on to the car. This is the thing, and he needs to be that way, I think, as well, Tom, to be able to get the job done. Otherwise, he's never going to get the job done, because this is the prime overtaking position on this racetrack.
Yeah, well, he's got a couple more laps to... sitting behind Roger Morton, if that's what he's thinking, and deciding to go for it on the last lap. But he'll only have one shot at doing it if that's what he is thinking. But what he's got to think about also is Dan Hunt, who's closing in behind. So this might be the best time for Darrell Wright to get alongside Morton and get the move completed. And looking further back to see if there's any other battles going on. There's not really at the moment. This is the closest battle out of everyone on the circuit. It's no wonder that Charles Kellerman is still going, because he knows that he'll be in that reverse grid pole should he stay there. Andy Lickley will just want to keep going just in case anything does going on up front, to sneak into that reverse grid pole. And it's no wonder that Fiona Siddons is still going for the same reasons of perhaps getting on the front row for race number 4.
Yeah, well, this is Darrell Wright. He's got a better run out of 1. Can he hold it going through 2? He doesn't. He loses about 2 tenths. Coming back in now, he's got the run on Roger Morton. Dan Hunt is in the background. He really could do with Dan Hunt staying out of this until they get onto that straightaway. Give himself a great opportunity to have a go at Morton. He's just lost a tenth and a little bit. Round turn number 3. What's he going to lose coming into Moss? 5.9, 5.8, 5.6, 5.7. He pulls in about oh no, he doesn't. He loses another tenth there for Darrell Wright, so he's going to have to rely on Dan Hunt pushing him along here, because at the moment he just can't seem to stay close enough.
Yeah, I think this is going to end up being GP3 stuff of Monza all those years ago, involving Antonio Felix da Costa, I think it was, or someone else, I can't quite remember. But we are seeing the bump drive coming into effect here with Wright underneath Morton now. Does he go to the outside? He thinks about it, which means that Morton's line is going to be compromised slightly into the right-hander entering the S's. Into the penultimate corner now, and it feels like Wright has dropped back a little bit. He needs to be wary of Dan Hunt's presence as they cross over the line to begin their final lap of the race. And is Dan Hunt going to go for it? Wright will want Hunt to go through. And, well, he's not alongside just yet there, is Hunt. So we are on the last lap now. As you can see, the sun is setting here. I don't know if it's going to get darker for race number 4. Hunt goes through on Wright, and Wright just lets Hunt go through. But he needs to stay underneath him to take advantage of the draft to get through on Morton on the Mario Andretti straight away.
Yeah, well, now this is where he's going to have to see what's going to happen. Get it off the grass. You've got to keep it out of that outside line. He needs to make sure he can stay with these. The draft will be stronger with a double. Okay, so it will be strong enough for him, but he's got to get close enough. Hunt almost goes under the back end of Roger Morton. Now this is where the three are going to kick in now. You're going to see it close up. It's going to close at an absolute rapid rate of knots, I'm sure, with both of them. Morton should... well, I don't know. He's still got about 200 metres to go till he gets to the end of the straightaway. Here comes Dan Hunt. He's caught the draft now. Now we're going to be closing in. Which way is Hunt going to go? Is he going to be brave enough to send it round the outside? He is here. He's having a go with Morton. He's going to try and go round the outside. He needs the inside for turn 9. Morton's hoping he comes across. He covers him off. Steve Efford comes over the line. He takes the victory. What's happening further back? Oh, it's all going off. I think it is going to be Roger Morton. No, Morton's going to hold on in the AMS. He does hold on there as well. Was that a missed opportunity for Darrell Wright, not willing to send it round the outside of turn 8?
Well, I think he just sat back too much. He almost sort of... I don't want to sort of bring the sort of Gareth Southgate thing of just sitting back and allow the opposition to come in, but yeah, I think he just played it safe there, did Darrell Wright, and just he didn't want to risk a repeat of what he had last week at Phillip Island when he came together with Ralph Cullen. I think that's what he was thinking about. So second place in AM is what he's gone for with Colin Sensen. Mick Barry, 4th in class. Very, very well done to him, holding off Steve Hansard until the end.
Yeah, Roger Morton, big shout out to him, finishing 2nd overall there. I'm sure he's going to be happy with that as well. I can tell you, if Craig Jones is still watching, he's not going to be happy with Roger Morton taking 2nd overall, as these two have their own little rivalry. In the league and outside of the league as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one. But Andy Littler's going to come over the line here as well for the final position. In 12th, it will be Charles Kellerman on pole position, but let's bring you up the results from race number 3. And Steve Efford is your winner and takes the win in pros as well. Roger Morton wraps up in the AMS, and then you've got Dan Hunt, Darrell Wright, Colin Sanson as your top 5. Mick Barry, Steve Hansford, Jamie Ayres, Darren McLean, and you've got Fiona Siddons, Charles Kellerman will be on pole, even though he's finished 1 lap down. Andy Littler Littler 2 laps down. So Alan Toon 7 laps down. Ralph Cullen 8. Pete Newman 9. And Jamie Wilson 9 as well. We know what happened to both of them. As we go into that brief 5-minute warm-up, we have got Steve Hefford waiting in the booth. Your winner from race number 3. Steve, welcome in. Nice little Sunday drive for you, wasn't it?
yeah. Bit of a sketchy manoeuvre in the first couple of corners, but once I got that done, it was plain sailing. I was really, really, really upset to see cars flying off all over the track behind me. I was like, oh no, what a shame.
Yeah, Pete hit the grass. He spun back across the track. He then hit the wall on the other side and spun back across the track again.
I saw it. I was gutted. I was.
yeah, right. Of course you were. Listen, let's talk about that move round turn 2, right? You sent it 3 wide and you went from third to first. You know, what were you thinking going into that corner? That's not a manoeuvre everybody pulls off, Steve.
Can I say it's on here? What was I thinking? No, I was. To be honest, I just wanted to try and make a move as soon as I could because I knew Dan was right behind me and Pete not too further away. So if I can get a move on, get a gap at the beginning, and at least it gives me a little bit of a buffer. Maybe they fight the way through, and I can build a gap. Lose the draft by the time they get past. You got to take every advantage you can with those guys because they're so quick.
And really, all he wanted to say, guys, as well, was literally he just picked him up and sent it there as well.
Sent
it, Steve, as well. What's the plan for race 4? You're going to be down in 11th, mate. That's a long way back from that start.
Yeah, but Dan did back of the grid at the start of the night in the rain, and he was up there on the podium at the end of the race. I think he'd, so it's not hard to do, to be honest. You need the luck here, to be honest, because it's so easy to go off, and the walls are quite close to the track. People bounce back on, as Pete did. So yeah, you need a little bit of luck on your side. So try and be a little bit cautious because I'm going to be further back. Lap 1, see how things pan out, and then send it.
And then send it as well. Do you think you've got the pace to get from 11th to 1st, though? Because, Hunt's taken a win tonight. Ayres has taken a win as well.
Dan's quick here. Yeah. Dan's quick. I do like the track, to be honest. I do get on with it. It's one of those that I enjoy, so wouldn't rule anything out, to be honest. You just need that little bit of luck as well. And enough for other people to have a little bit of bad luck.
So you're hoping for another sort of Pete Newman 4-car-esque in the pit lane within about 30 seconds of the race start?
That would do, yeah. And I think Jamie and 2 others in front of him did a false start, so Jamie just did one as well because the 2 cars go in front of you. You more or less, you're always going to go. It's just a gut reaction to if 2 cars go in front of you. So 3 of them went and jumped the start, so they had drive-throughs as well. So even though they weren't involved in accidents, they were out of contention, Yeah. So yeah, more of that, more mayhem will do, please.
All right, mate. Well, good luck for race 4. You've got about a minute to go here, mate. I'll drop you back up with the Momo boys. Have a good one, and let's see that 11th to 1st, eh?
Yeah, let's try.
All right, man.
Cheers, man.
Well, there you go. Steve seems quite positive. He's not ruling out being able to get to the front there, Tom, but 11th to 1st, that's a tall order, right?
Not in my book. I think on the back of what we've seen so far this evening, if he can just plough through the field in a similar way to what we are looking at Ralph Cunningham, actually, because he came through from the back quite quickly to get to where he was. And it was good to see Steve Hefford coming in high spirits, very, very happy with his performance and getting bagging an important victory, which I don't think we've seen too often from him in the summer campaign of the season, so I'm sure he'll be happy to have picked up a win this time around. Race number 4 with the conditions still dry, although the sun is coming down, so I can imagine the track and air temperatures to have dropped a little bit. So let's see how race 4 goes. Hopefully we don't get the repeat of the madness that we saw in race 3. So we want to see some battling all the way through.
Yeah, but a little bit of madness don't hurt anyone. That's what I say. And it is race 4. It generally does go off there as well. We'll wait for this grid to pop up on the screen. Don't forget, guys, if you are in YouTube chat, let a like, subscribe, turn on the bells, and don't forget, it would be absolutely amazing if you can share as well. Going into the final race of the season of this evening, here is the grid. Charles Kellerman on first, Fiona Seddons on second, Darren McLean in third, with Jamie Ayres leading the pros in fourth. Steve Hansford, Mick Barry, Colin Sampson and Darryl Wright rounds out the top 4 rows. Dan Hunt, Roger Morton, Steve Hefford and Andy Littler, the top 12. Then you've got Sir Alan Toon, Ralph Cullinan, Pete Newman and Jamie Wilson. And Tom, Charles Kellerman on pole, all waiting ready for you.
Yes, so we're just waiting on Pete Newman to join the grid, which he does so now. We are waiting for 5 red lights to appear on our screen. Here we go. We've got 1 light on, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Lights on, lights off here at Motorsport Park for the last time this evening. Headlights are on, of course, as the sun is already set. But Charles Kellerman is able to get through turn number 1, presumably safe and sound. Fiona Siddons the same. What about Darren McLean? He's just been overtaken by Jamie Ayres. Can Jamie Ayres do what Steve Hefford did in the last race and make his way through from third to first in one swoop? Not this time around, as he settles in behind Charles Kellerman as they approach. There's a car off and there's a car spinning as well. That's Steve Hansford, and off with him is Darryl Wright. It is Darryl Wright once again in the wars.
Yeah, just going into turn 2. Oh, he goes in hot. Oh, Steve Hansford. Him and Steve Hansford having contact. Darryl's in the wall, loses his bumper. But I can tell you what, Jamie Ayres under pressure from Fiona Siddons here. Great job.
Yeah, he's just got through into the lead now as Jamie Ayres, so he's got a chance to pull away from the likes of Hunt, Hefford and co.
Yeah, there's Charles Kellerman gone alongside us. It's just overtaken us here as well. Dan Hunt is in the mix. They're going to be strewn out across the racetrack. And Hunt really trying to find somewhere to go. Not really got the door left open here from the left-hand side of Colin Sampson. At the moment, it looks like maybe Jamie Ayres has gone on a little bit of a blink here. We're not entirely sure where he is or where he's going to come back. Steve Hefford's gone around the outside of turn 8. Can he get it stopped going into 9? He hit the grass. He's just about to hold on. Hunt side by side again here, Tom. Great action going around the final corner.
Yeah, Steve Hefford ploughing his way through from 11th on the grid. We're struggling to see where Jamie Ayres is on the circuit as Steve Hansford struggles to make his way back to the pit lane, and it looks like Darryl Wright's race is done and dusted, and so is his evening. I think Ayres is back in the picture now, thankfully. Kellerman through on Siddons, Sanson getting his way through, although Siddons goes way too deep into Clayton, and thankfully she gets back onto the circuit, not rejoining into the path of any drivers, but she will have lost time and places there. Dan Hunt into 3rd place overall, getting through on Colin Sanson as they head towards Moss Corner. Steve Hefford looking to follow suit and does so. Steve Hefford absolutely flying. You can see the energy they had in the interview we saw from him during that warm-up. Well, he's carried that through so far in race number 4 here.
11th to 1st for Steve Hefford. Is it going to be possible? Well, the man's in 4th at the moment, and there's going to be a lot of draft helping him along up Mario Andretti as Hunt clears Charles Kellerman. Here comes Steve Hefford. He's going to take that line as well. Kellerman thought about it. You can't. Nope. You didn't do it enough, dear sir. You went in. You didn't quite cover off, and now you're going to lose 2 places, I think, as well. Hefford gets a little bit close to the curve there of Dan Hunt now. He's going to try and go around the outside here, Tom. Oh, he does sweep round the outside. Hefford into 1st. Hunt and Ayres to go. Can he make it 11th to 1st?
Steve Hefford on a charge as they come round to complete the 2nd lap, right behind Dan Hunt now for Pete. So what a sensational performance we are seeing from Steve Hefford as Mick Barry unfortunately is in the pits with a problem. What a shame after a brilliant race 3, and it just seems to have crashed back down to earth for him in race number 4. You could just see Dan Hunt getting a little bit wide through Clayton there. That's going to give Steve Hefford all the encouragement he needs to close in. Charles Kellerman holding the AM lead ahead of Colin Sanson. In the final podium slot in that category is Darren McLean. Fiona Siddons doing well in 4th place with Roger Morton right behind her. And now they are coming towards Moss Corner. How are Hunt and Hefford going to play this one? Well, Hefford will be fancying his chances by getting through on Dan Hunt, and he'll be into the slipstream, as will Dan Hunt. Jamie has went way too deep into Moss, and that's going to allow Hunt and Hefford to close right in. Will Hefford go for it on the pair of them on the Mario Andretti straightaway?
Well, he's going to pick up the double draft here as well. Hunt now pulls out. He's going to take that inside line. Here comes Steve Hefford. Is he going to follow Dan Hunt through? He is. Ayres almost gets out the way. Hefford's going to sweep round the outside. He's going to try it again. Third to first. Steve Hefford all the way up from 11th, but he ended lap 3. He's got to hold on through 9. It looks like he's done it. 11th to first for Steve Hefford by the end of lap 3. Darrell Wright, learn what you got to do around the outside of 8, because I can tell you one thing, Steve Hefford will teach you well. Into first place already.
Thank you, a good night. That's what Steve Hefford will be thinking about. In a space of 5 minutes, he's gone from 11th to first. That's PlayStation stuff right there, isn't it? As Hunt and Ayres come down to the Clayton corner, they'll be thinking about trying to get back through. So Hefford, not done and dusted by any means. You can just see Dan Hunt desperate to make his way through, and Hefford leaving the door open into Quebec, and they are coming towards Moss Corner once more, and Hunt still side by side with Hefford, and you can see Jamie is right in the mix too. And if these three keep battling it out, who knows what could happen from here on in. Hunt tucking in behind Hefford, Ayres tucking in behind Hunt, going through Moss, and coming up through the Mario Andretti straightaway once again. And Hefford will just need to go into defensive mode. How will he play this one?
I've got no idea, but look at the train behind him. Ralph Cullinan, Darren McLean, Wilson, Newman, Morton, Sanson and Siddons. They're all closing down, but let's go back up to the end of this straightaway now as well. Dan Hunt's going to try the inside of 8. Hefford's already done him around the outside once as well. Not this time around. It looks like Dan's going to have it. Kellerman's sitting in there in prime spot in 4th overall, first in the AMs, loving every single minute of this. Look at the action further back. Jamie Wilson's in the mix. Pete Newman's there. Roger Morton's in there. Colin Sanson's in there. McLean's in there. Oh, they're all going at it. I can tell you one thing, though. That's going to open the inside there for Pete Newman. Jamie Wilson got it all wrong going round turn 10. Newman's going to have the inside, Tom. Job done, I think, as well, unless Wilson can hold on and keep his footing.
Yeah, Wilson doing his best to remain in front there. Cullinan making his way through to 5th place overall. And they are coming through Clayton once more. We can just see Wilson. He needs to get through on McLean so he can go after the likes of Cullinan and the top 3 ahead. He's still losing too much time, tossing it out with the AM drivers. So Jamie Wilson not having the best of races so far. It's almost like damage limitation for him. He wants to be fighting it out with the front runners, as we've seen from him in the past. He's making more work for it than desired. Coming through Moss again. Will he get a textbook exit on to the Mario Andretti straightaway? Roger Morton appears to have gone round for a spin at that corner.
Yeah, Roger Morton went round in the background. That was Pete Newman. Wilson was battling with. There goes Hefford once more. Is he going to be able to make it round the outside coming into turn 8? He does. He gets it back into first place. Steve Hefford now back into first. Darren McLean, Ralph Cullinan side by side. Pete Newman, Wilson side by side as well. Don't forget, this is a pro battle. Cullinan, Newman, Wilson. Morton went round. We'll have a look back at that one in a minute. McLean hanging on here. He is literally hanging on. If he's ever showing he's got cojones, it's right about now for Darren McLean, because they are all pros, and I can tell you one thing, it isn't easy keeping them all behind him, and Darren McLean doing a stellar job at the moment, and so is Steve Hefford, who's come from 11th to first by the end of lap 3.
Well, he's just absolutely on form, isn't he? He's coming into his zone now, and we hope to see that more from him in the coming weeks. But Dan Hunt is going for it this time into Quebec, and this is going to see him make his way through back into the lead, forcing Hefford out wide, but not too much, and Hunt into the lead again. But Hefford will be happy to sit in behind for now, because he'll get the benefit of the draft on the exit of Moss Corner and go for it into the right-hander, entering the S's after the Mario Andretti straightaway. Hunt, Hefford, Ayres and Kellerman in AM, running away with it so far, but Darren McLean will be determined to close in on Kellerman as they come onto the Andretti straightaway here. Hefford, will he go to the outside? He's one of the bravest drivers on the grid. What we've seen from him evidently tonight. And he seems to be getting through on Hunt on this occasion before they even get to the corner.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to need a push from Jamie Ayres, though. Hunt's going to send it up the inside of 8. This is it now for Steve. He's got to brave it out. He's already there. He's got to brave it out. Round turn 9 they go. Hunt's going to have the inside for 10. He does have the inside. What's going on further back? I can tell you that Wilson and Newman have swapped places. Cullinan's also been involved in some place swapping, as is Colin Sanson. And we got Littler and Siddons running side by side round the final corner. However, Littler just got that all wrong. That should allow Fiona Siddons the inside going into turn 1. Can she make it through over the curb? She is going to get that job done there as well. So change of positions in the AMS. Siddons now in 4th. Littler now in 5th. And Hunt is still leading the way with Steve Hefford behind him at the moment.
Yeah, Hunt doing his best to hold off Hefford and Az. Neiman's too far back to even think about going for it on these lot. Kellerman sitting in nicely, getting the benefit of the draft and not going for it sensibly. But these three are coming through now. We're on lap number 7 out of what is expected to be a 10-lap race. When the clock reaches 0, whatever lap the leader is on will be their final lap. Darrell Wright, the only driver out of the race so far after lap 1 contact with Steve Hansford. And we are seeing Hefford going for it again on Hunt on the straightaway once again. He's got his nose in front, which is what happened last time, but he wasn't quite ahead into the corner through the S's overall. Wilson getting in front of Cullinan for 5th place in Pro and going after Pete Newman and getting through on Pete Newman as well. So Jamie Wilson making up 2 places in a blink of an eye. So we've got 3-way battle for the lead in Pro, and we've got a battle for 4th place in the same category.
Yeah, Newman's going to have the inside into the final corner. The Cullinan needs to clear McLean and leave McLean there fighting with Sanson. He needs to, because he needs to stay with Pete Newman and Jamie Wilson. They're side by side. Newman's going to have the inside for turn 1. Wilson's on the outside. He takes that grass. He gives plenty of room. Now this is where it's all going to matter. What is Pete going to do around the outside of turn 2? He knows he's got to slow down more. Use the banking. Off you go. Wilson manages to hold onto it. He does stay in that 5th spot, but these 5 cars are having a right little ding dong, as are the 4 up front as well. So we're trying the 2 behind even with Littler and Siddons are not stopping once again. But here we go once more down Moss and down to Mario Andretti, and it's going to be Hunt, Hefford, Ayres and Kellerman all at it again.
Yeah, so they're coming onto the straightaway as they look to go nose to tail. Will Hefford go for it, or will he sit back like he did last time? Kellerman is just happy to watch these fights it out, as he has been doing. Wilson, Newman and Cullinan is another battle we'll want to be focusing, but for now we'll look at Hefford, Hunt and Ayres coming towards the S's here. You can see Ayres going in 3 wide into turn number 9, and Ayres is able to get through. That was the bit between your teeth stuff entering that. But it looks like Dan Hunt's going to have the high ground into the last corner before the pit straight. And Hunt gets back ahead, but Hefford and Ayres are not giving it up. Hefford will have the inside line into someone for a moment, but he's having to tuck back in again as they start their penultimate lap.
Yeah, Ayres has run wide. That's going to allow Hunt to go through. That's going to allow Hefford to go through. Newman's managing to hold on from Wilson. Cullinan's still in there. Sanson and McLean battling it out for 2nd in the AMS at the moment. So we've got these 2 pockets of battles. We're trying to focus on all of them, not making it very easy, these guys, this evening for me in race number 4. Siddons is battling with Morton now. Barry's battling with Hansford. The only one running around on her own is Andy Littler. He ain't battling with anyone. But everybody else is in some form of fight here, and you can see it here with Newman, with Wilson, with Cullinan, with Sanson behind that, and McLean. They're still scrapping out for the lead of the AMS, but Hunt has opened up 8 temps at the moment. Hefford needs a push from Jamie Ayres. I'm not entirely sure what's happened, whether or not these guys have just got themselves caught up with each other, but going on to the final lap, it could be like Dan Hunt could take this.
Well, they've got enough of a buffer over the other battle that's going on behind them, so these lot can still afford to continue as they are doing. Hefford just needs to get back into the draft again on Hunt, which he's doing so. 1 lap to go once they cross over the line. Wilson getting in front of Pete Newman for 4th place in Pro, but that is far from being the last of it. Wilson round the outside of Newman into the right-hander entering the S's, and that's enough for Jamie to get through into 5th place overall. Ralph Cullinan sitting in behind. He may be the last of those in Pro, but he's had a strong race so far. As we begin the last lap then, there is Ez on the inside of Herford into turn 1, and I think Herford may have taken too much life out of those tyres by ploughing through the field probably a bit too soon.
Yeah, I'm wondering now as well. Oh, Steve! Steve! No, Steve! Keep it out of tyres! Get it on track! Oh, he's just lost it on the final lap. Oh. Drats.
What a shame for Steve Hefford. He just dropped. He did very well to keep out of the barrier, in all honesty. But that just goes back to what I was saying. He's probably taken too much life out of the tyres during the opening stages of the race there. He needed to take his time with it, but that's allowed Dan Hunt all the buffer he needs to the checker flag here. There's no way Jamie Ayres is going to make up all that ground now with there being only the straightaway and the S's to get through. But this battle now between Wilson, Newman and potentially Cullinan, it looks pretty sewn up there unless Wilson is able to fend off Newman here. Newman looking to go for it into the S's and White, but he's probably going to run out of time unless he absolutely goes for it. But we've got the leaders coming round the last corner now, as we can see this battle going on to the end, as Newman looks to the outside of Wilson, and we go back to the leader. Dan Hunt is going to take another victory here ahead of Jamie Ayres. Steve Hefford, 3rd place in Pro. Kellerman takes the victory in AM.
No!
Wilson should be able to hold on, but it's contact as they cross over the line between what looks like Cullinan and Newman. They've been overtaken by Sanson, and it all started when Newman dropped it, entering White, loses it again, and he takes Cullinan with him.
Oh, did they get across the line? That's going to be the question. I think Newman is trickling. He needs a push, Ralph. Oh, they both just made it over the line, but last corner drama. Newman was already loose going out at 9. He was loose going through 10. Hefford thought he was going to go to the right. He didn't, and he went to the outside line, and it all just went a little bit Pete Tong that they got attached together, and unfortunately it was all done and dusted for them guys as well. So a little bit of a shame, but yeah, great action there as well for race 4.
Absolutely so. So we'll run down on the result of the final race here at Motorsport Park before we wrap up tonight's action. In the end, it was Dan Hunt that won out over Jamie Ayres. Charles Kellerman coming home in 3rd place overall. 3rd place in AM. Well, the AM victor is what I'm trying to say. 3rd place overall, with Steve Hefford, who very nearly completed his way through the field from 11th on the grid to the victory, but 4th it was in the end, but 3rd in Pro. Jamie Wilson, 5th, had a Colin Sanson and Darren McLean. Pete Newman and Ralph Cullinan getting over the line despite their tangle. Andy Little in 10th place. Roger Morton, Fiona Siddons, Mick Barry, Steve Hansford, with the rest of those not finished. Alan Toon, 1 lap down. Darrell Wright crashed out at the very beginning after his collision with Steve Hansford. Well, that wraps up the evening's action. James, summarise that, because we saw a tale of two halves, let's say. Wet in the first half and dry in the second. So much drama, so much battling, but if that is anything to go by, I would expect the second half of the summer campaign to be ever so brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You saw the difference between the draft in the dry and the draft in the rain. You know, in the rain, it was not non-existent, but it wasn't really there. And the dry, it was just opening it up all over the place. You know, we're going on to Spa next, and that's not going to be no different going up Kemmel. I can tell you that much, because that's going to be a very draft-heavy circuit going down into Lacombe. And I think overall, these guys put on a show week in, week out, and I think we've just seen another show from these guys. Absolutely amazing.
Couldn't agree more. And thank you to all those competing tonight. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in this evening. If you haven't subscribed, do make sure you do that and like the video as well. As James rightly mentioned, we go to Spa next week in 7 days' time, so we'll do it all over again. James, thank you very much for being with me in the commentary position, and we'll do it once more next week. I'm Tom Cairns, he's James Parfitt, and we'll speak to you again soon when the UK SimRacers returns.
Jungle.